Hey y'all, we're live here at Word on the Curb, and we were just listening to a little jazz and sharing a little bit. Before I get started, I'd like to introduce my guests this evening, Dosha Brown, Shauna, Sherry, and Jonette. I am honored to be here with these women because they're all women I admire and respect. I'm really happy about that. Word on the Curb is about people, places, and things. And that's what we're going to be talking about. Some of those good things, some of those things that are uncomfortable, some of those things that um, you might not hear too often. Like you're asleep when you're not voting. I don't care who you are and what you think and why you don't vote. If you're not voting and exercising your right to have a say in people who form policies that impact you, you're asleep. We're going to be talking about those things. We're going to be talking about what solidarity really means and how it works. But tonight is the sister curve. And we're talking about things that are out there in the streets. And for the record, for those elitists who will join us this evening, the streets are everywhere, no matter where you
Yeah.
live.
Mhm.
So we're going to be talking about some of that stuff. And some of it you might like, and some of it you won't. But I want to shout out the Big Easy, Ulabala. Thank you for your commitment and the time that you invest in the community. Tonight, we're going to be gifting a lunch gift card to the guest who comes on to hear us and comments the most. So, Ulabala at the Big Easy, keep doing what you're doing. You're doing a good job. And I'd like to say to every parent anywhere who's lost a child to violence, we can turn the game around. Together we can. Solidarity. Don't harbor guns and don't harbor drugs. Know where your kids are, what they're doing, and who they're hanging with. That's the part we control. Our government has another part in ensuring that public safety is their top priority. So I just want to offer condolences to anybody who's lost a child. There's no good reason to lose one, and there's never a right time. So my condolences to you and your family from Word on the Curve podcasting family. I'd also like to shout out small business owners. Elise Robinson, what are you doing over there with that pink smoke, girl? Thank you for feeding us. Sakina Iman, down at the Food Bar and Grill, thank you. And to every other small business, the Ingram Kingdom Mobile Kitchen, thanks for joining us. Sister Seafood, we see you, we hear you, and we're looking forward to the lobster. But to those of you who have a small business, thank you. We're going to get started. And the ladies are allowing me to kick off tonight. And this is about what women are talking about or not. And my first comment, what I'd like to share about, is the emotional abuse we ignore and or don't recognize. And what I want to tell you tonight, what I'd like to share about tonight, Dosha, Shauna, Jeanette, and Sherry, is emotional abuse is not always the significant other. Sometimes it's a cousin, it's a sister friend, and sometimes it's just people, places and families that create the atmosphere. But on the flip side of emotional abuse is you don't have to take it anymore, no matter who pushes it out. You don't have to take it anymore. I was in a situation and being emotionally abused, and so far in left field, I didn't even realize it was happening. I didn't realize it was happening. And it was a friend that I trusted and believed in. But the flip side of that is I had some girlfriends that I could trust and believe in, and family members who supported me emotionally and helped me see it. So that's what I'm talking about tonight. Ladies,
I think I'll chime in. I think that it is so important, and a lot of times it's behavior that you overlook. And I'll speak to it from a family member standpoint.
Okay.
I just recently had an issue. Maybe we had death in the family, and with having death in the family, it really brings about an ugliness sometimes. And myself
Parents
and
have a
my
tendency to
cousin,
do that.
yeah, we're all grown now, and I had to basically like say something to an older family member, and just let them know that even though we are your children, we're not children. We're still adults, and we give respect and we expect respect. We don't disrespect you in no way, but as an adult, you can't holler about you going to do this or you're going to do that or no. As adults, we try to keep it respectful, and because they raised us a certain way, they feel they can still uh, behave in a certain manner or say certain things, and then you just overlook it and you overlook it. But as an adult, you say, I wouldn't allow anybody else, to talk to me this way or treat me this way. You don't get a pass because we're related. No. So yeah, I do agree.
Anybody else?
Well, I think that when it comes to emotional abuse, I agree with you both, especially when you get older. I think you see it a lot in the workplace, where I see it more. That
Yeah.
abuse is heavy.
Yeah.
I'm a person, I have to say it like this, that welcome confrontation. So I don't, I don't allow it. So, but I've seen it done to other people, and sometimes I want to step in and say, "Are you really letting them say that to you?"
Say that to
So
you.
that's the
Mhm.
demeanor that I have. So when
Mm.
I see it, sometimes I see it a lot more in the workplace, more than I've seen it anywhere. I've seen it in my home when I was younger, but as I gotten older, I think because I put up some boundaries, that a lot of that I don't tolerate emotional abuse at all.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Boundaries are key.
That's good.
Hmm.
Um, I would like to chime in and just say, I think that sometimes, especially as women, we tend to let things, roll over our shoulder or not speak up on things. And I applaud you, Dosha, for having the gumption to just say, look, I'm not going to tolerate that, and you're not going to speak to me however you want to. A lot of
Hmm.
women, and particularly older women, haven't reached that process yet, haven't developed that kind of confidence, that kind of support. I know, back to what you were saying, Annette, where you say that you have friends, or you think you have good friends, and you're associated with other people, and sometimes those friends are associated with people that you rather not be associated with, and so
Hmm.
things can get a little twisted. And I think as women, we have to learn how to love each other better, be better friends to each other, and
I like that.
be
Yeah.
able
I
to,
absolutely agree with that.
yeah, be able to say, you know, I didn't like what you said the other night, or yesterday you said something that I found to be offensive, or,
Yeah.
if
Absolutely.
I offended you, I saw the look that you had on your face. And if I offended you, I didn't mean to do that. That wasn't my intent. So I think we need to be a little more kinder to one another. And I think because there's so much, and I'm not saying this to negate men, but because there's so much on our shoulders that we as women either voluntarily carry or choose to carry
Hmm.
or have to carry, that there are times when we just totally obliviate one another for no reason. And then sometimes our pride gets in the way, and like, she ain't
Hmm.
apologizing to me, well, I ain't apologizing to her. And well, if you see her, you tell her. I said, no, we got to stop with that. We got to start being more kind to one another, and spreading that kindness around so that others see it. And I'm like you, Dosha. In my younger years, I took a lot of stuff that I would never take right now.
Mhm.
And when I made that decision at an early age in my life not to take it, I was labeled as being mean, or
Mhm.
why are you so unfriendly, or why are you always acting mean, or why you get so upset. But no, it wasn't that. It was that I'm trying to tell you how I want to be treated. I'm trying to tell you what
Absolutely.
I look at as respect. You can't tell me what
Hmm.
my respect
Yeah.
level is. You can't tell me what bothers me or what doesn't bother me. And I'm okay if you don't appreciate what I'm telling you. But right now, we're not doing this. You know, sometimes you just have to be like forward, and it's not easy all the time. It's not easy all the time, and it goes back to something you said earlier, Annette. When it comes to emotional abuse, and you're in a partner situation, sometimes it's hard to tell a partner, "Yo, back up. Yo, I don't like the way you spoke to me the other night," or, you know, are we going to talk about this? Are we going to discuss what just happened? And you got to kind of pick, like my mom used to say, pick your battles.
Yeah.
And so it's you know, that's a good subject to talk about, and it's also a hard subject to kind of converse on at times.
It can be difficult because a lot of times we don't realize how much we're carrying until we put it down. We don't.
Absolutely.
We just don't know, you know, how much we're carrying. And I think that as women, the most difficult thing for me when I see or have experienced emotional abuse, because I have, and I certainly know how to speak up, it's different. If we respond, she's aggressive, she's mean, she's this and she's that. When you say, no, I'm not tolerating that. Are you kidding me? But if
When
a
you
man
defend
does it,
yourself.
yeah, he's just expressing himself. So I want to be
No, so when
treated.
you defend yourself, when you
Right.
defend yourself and you put a stop to the abuse and stop being the victim, then you become the aggressor in that person's eyes. But as long as you are allowing yourself to be a doormat, then they're okay with that.
So learning to speak up, Jonette, thank you for sharing. You know, Sherry, you're right. You got to speak up. Jonette, you're right. You have to be willing to stand up for yourself. And women do have to treat each other better. And I want to shout that out. Ladies, we have to treat each other better, period. We're not in competition. The
Right.
best we can do if we open our hearts and minds is learn from each other.
Correct.
And if you
But I
think
just,
that somebody thinks they're better than you, that might be something you need to deal with.
That's a
I
good
do
point
want to
right
say something though to that point. When you speak about girlfriends and treating each other better, what I found in an interest to kind of keep the relationship, you know, you tend to kind of put up with things maybe that you would not necessarily put up with for the sake of the friendship, if you will. And I think sometimes when you have an individual who is used to having their way and not necessarily being the fairest, when you step up or you say things, then it's looked at as conflict or confrontation. So I had an experience like that. So for me, I made clear what my point was. But for me, because I'm not going to argue, I'm not going to go back and forth. Now, there was a time you could get all of the smoke. You could get all of the argument because I lived for it. Just like she said, oh, you know, I welcomed it. But at this particular point, I am just protecting my peace. So at this particular point, I'm not willing to engage that way. So, you know, there's no hard feelings, but I'm going to just move around. And that's just where it is. Like, I'm not angry. I'm not harboring any, you know, ill will, no, you know, but I'm going to protect my peace at all costs.
At all costs.
So, yeah.
like that. You know what? I like that, and I'm in that space also. But at the same time, I can flip the script because I can't lie. I'm so straightforward. So, but I'm thinking about something while we're sitting here talking, and the thing that I'm thinking about is the fact that I'm going to talk about me. And we'll forgive, and I'm just saying this for our sisters, you know, as females. We forgive so easily a dude who's done us wrong so many times, but we will not forgive our sister, and we will hold that grudge. And that's where I want us to bring this, where sisterhood, solidarity, that right to the forefront, where we sometimes we will beat each other up so bad, but we'll forgive. I'm gonna say just what I mean, a no good joker over and over again. Have him spin the block 50 million times, forgive him over and over again, but we won't do that for our sister. And that's where I'm I refuse to not forgive my sister, and I mean that from my heart. Like, if I was on a path, I believe it was 3 years ago, where God sent me back to different people and said, forgive me, and I'm telling you, and we really have a good relationship now. So sometimes those relationships that we keep, that we push to the side, and we keep saying like, oh my God, this person, I'm not talking to them because she did this, that, or the other. We also have to think about who else are we holding at bay? Who is this person that I can use my sister's help at this time?
Yeah.
So I need her. And so I want to be able to forgive her. I'm not telling us to be stepping stones, but if we want to stay hard in those relationships for those people who don't mean us no good, if that girlfriend is really a really good girlfriend and you really miss her, I really believe having in that come to Jesus moment with her and saying, hey, we need to sit down and talk, because I liked our friendship. I wanted us to have a great friendship, and I miss our friendship. It may not go back the way it was, but just bringing it home, that we kind of, like Annette said, we just have to bring that solidarity back with our sisters.
I agree.
I know that I need women in my life. I need the sister circle. I realize how important it is. I realize the impact that it makes. And I realize that it takes a lot sometimes to get to see. It's not just about saying you forgive. It's got to be wholehearted. You got to feel it in your heart. Because I know the most difficult thing for me is if you're my best friend and I'm giving you my secrets, and you're friends with my enemy, and we have enemies, and my enemy can sit and discuss me, and then you want to come back and tell me, I'm compromised already because my business is already out there. And I know
absolutely.
And what I had to learn was to stop giving my business. We have somebody in our chat who says, I have zero tolerance for people treating me any kind of way. My name stands for something. All right. My character stands for something. Yes. And how I built myself up stands for something. Virginia Marshall, we love you because that's right on point.
Absolutely. I was trying to comment on that, but I couldn't. So I'm glad you acknowledged that, Annette, because that is powerful.
Yes. So Virginia, thank you for sharing.
Do you think maybe, I'm sorry. Do you think maybe the offense when it comes from a trusted friend and I think I must speak for me, being a Black woman, it's not always very easy to just trust anyone, and the type of person that I am, especially once you've ever had any type of betrayal, like, in your face or directly to you, it becomes really difficult to allow people in. Now, I'm the type of person, you see me, I am so social. I laugh, speak, talk to everyone. But when it comes to my personal circle, family, things like that, I'm very, 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 very selective of who's able to be and occupy that space with me. And I would always tease and say, like if I had something or whatever, and maybe let's just say coworkers would say, well, why didn't you, invite me? I would have come. And I said, well, I always try to keep my family and my job, they're like church and state. I just don't, I don't mix the two, but it's just like, I think the betrayal becomes a little more hurtful. Not that you can't get past it, but when you can trust a person on a certain level to really tell them what you're going through on a serious level, and to find that individual is elsewhere with something, with your information or your business, sharing it with someone who and they know that you guys don't deal with each other. I'm loyal to a fault. So, if I know you don't deal with an individual, there's no conversation on that side. If it's somebody, for example, we work together, you guys didn't deal, there's no conversation there, at all. We can't discuss this individual. You don't deal with that person. We're not going to discuss it. but a lot of times there's no loyalty, and a lot of times there's no real respect. So when you have the lack of those things, then it's easy for someone to just betray you and turn around, you know. And that, I think, is what's so hurtful and why it's a little more difficult to get past it. And yeah, you know, as women, we've all kind of played the fool for that one who was who, you know. But
sometimes it's more than one.
But you know, you play the fool sometimes because you just want to believe in your heart of heart that they're gonna get it right. But when you have that person who you let in, you know, your sister friend, and you trust it, you never expect that person to betray you. It hurts on a different level. So it is difficult to bounce back from it. But I do believe that it is doable. I do agree with you with that. It is doable, but there's work.
Yeah, because that's a Judas moment, though. That's why. So because that's closeness, and now I know you've betrayed me. So now you've betrayed me. Here's Judas, and I'm looking at him saying, "So you do me like that?" But you knew, like, once you find out what they're doing, you're like, "Okay, so this is what you do." That's why it hurts so bad.
Yes.
That's why. I think that's why it hurts so bad, because of that closeness.
I'm going to go back to Jonette's point because I think it's very important. First of all, when you forgive somebody, forgive them with your whole heart, right? And the thing that helped me the most, because I've definitely been betrayed on a level that I didn't even understand. But I think what helped me, I know what helped me was I recognized that what they were doing actually had nothing to do with me. It was who they were.
Okay.
Right? And so once I was able to, you know, forgive and get with that, it didn't hurt so much. And I also learned that I can't tell them everything.
Absolutely.
So it doesn't mean we can't be friends. It's just that it shifts. You know, friendships shift. You know, it doesn't mean it has to be eliminated in Jonette and learning to treat each other better, right? It just means that it shifts. We know what we can do, what we should do, and we can't do. Because sometimes we love them as sister friends, right? But we know, for example, you know, discussions about our men has to be off limits with them, right? Or we know that, you know, personal issues with our family has to be off limits because they have a chaotic family and they function well in chaos. So when you know, you pouring your heart out about, you know, my sister did this or my brother did this, so you won't believe what they said to me. They function well in that, right? So it's personal, when in fact it's not about us, it's them. Once I got with that, my life got so much better. People would run around saying I was mean, I couldn't be trusted, this, that, and the other, because there was a whisper campaign that you'll read about in my book, Her Story. Bruised,
all right,
but not broken. You're going to read about that, honey. I'm going to bring all of that to the documentary. That's going to be on this podcast beginning July 1st on the first Wednesdays. And although I can't afford to be sued at the rate that they would sue me, so the names will be eliminated or changed. But
I know that's right.
I'm going to tell you what they did to me. I'm going to tell you how they dragged me. And it was a sister. How they dragged me. And dragged me and expected me to accept it and play nice.
And play nice.
Woo! So, bruised but not broken, bruised but not bitter, as I spoke to Shauna about this week.
Absolutely.
I'm going to tell the story in Her Story. But if we don't walk away from this topic with anything else, please know this. Once you recognize that when people misbehave, it's about them, it ain't about you.
Yeah.
And when you believe everything you hear about somebody, you're a hostage.
Yes.
Whether you like it or not. Determine where you're going to be in it. You know what I mean? I find that when I get to know people, it works better for me. Because if I don't get to know you, then I'm operating off of somebody else's thoughts.
Exactly.
That's right. That's right.
So let's have another topic. What else?
That was
we could go any and everywhere.
And that was something that definitely needed to be said, and it helps people learn how to process when those moments of betrayal come upon them.
Mm-hmm.
Virginia
Mhm.
has some additional beautiful comments um,
Go ahead and read them, Sherry.
in the comment section. So she says, first, she thank you for acknowledging her. Um, I know I'm going to take her name wrong. I always do. Andre,
Andreen.
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 That's
Not
Andreen
my
says,
button.
so
boy,
true. I've been saying this forever. And Miss Virginia also said, I had betrayal and it hurt me deeply. 30 years of friendship. Miss Virginia, it happened to me too. And I still love the person deeply, but you sided with someone who hates me. I love her from a distance. I had to forgive her so I can move on. We can never
Absolutely.
be friends anymore because the trust and loyalty is totally broken. I completely and utterly can relate to that. Um, when it happened to me, the young lady's husband said, y'all need to fix this. It's 30 years of friendship is not something that you can just easily throw away. And she told her husband to mind his business, so that let me know that she didn't want to savage our relationship, so I moved
Right.
on and
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
protected my peace.
Sometimes
That's
pride gets in the way too.
absolutely. Absolutely. But you know what I say? I'm grateful and I'm thankful for the revelation. Okay.
Mm.
Once you know who a person is, and they always say when a person show you who they
Show
are,
you who
believe
they
them.
are, believe them.
It's difficult sometimes, but when it's revealed to you and you can clearly see it, I just thank God for the revelation because now I know exactly how to deal with you. Like she said, oh, certain things are off limits. Like I don't have to be nasty and not speak. My
Right.
mom always said the time of day is do a dog. So I always speak, but
I never
I
heard
know
that.
you for who you are. You've
Time
never
of day
heard
is
that. The
what?
time of day do a dog.
What's that mean? What that mean? What that mean?
Okay, well, the phrase just basically means that it's not going to hurt you or kill you to just speak. You can speak. Like, for example, if you walk in a room full of people, let's say it's 3 people in there that you actually don't speak to, but when you give a general hello, it covers everybody in the room, whether they speak
Okay.
back or not, it's done.
Okay.
That's right.
Okay. So the
Mhm.
time of day is due for even a dog. The dog even gets the 24 hours. You understand what I'm saying? So at the very end of the day, you don't have to do yourself any disservice. You don't have to go out of your way to be nasty. You don't have to do any of that. You know who that person is. You recognize what that person is, and you're able to see them and you're able to proceed. Now you know. So you can't be taken unaware. So I completely agree with that. I agree wholeheartedly with that. Thank you for letting me see who they are, and now I know how to proceed.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's right. That's right. The other thing is, I think it's important to understand this, and this is where we sometimes miss the message. You know how you get together and you're chitting and chatting with your girlfriends and you're talking about people, places, and things, and
Okay.
we think that the dog who's bringing the juicy bone or the sister who's
They'll
bringing the
carry
juicy
it.
bone is not going to take a piece of that meal and gristle back, but they
Mm.
are. They are. And that's been my experience. I'm not really one to gossip, the fair light gossip, like, girl, I hated those shoes. And then I tell them the same thing.
Right.
Um, but no dog eat dog. That's never been my style. I don't like it. And I think that I used to tell somebody all the time who would gossip about everybody, given the opportunity, why are you telling me? Tell them. I can't fix it. You
Mm-hmm.
got to tell them. So I think, I'd like the audience to recognize as well tonight that when they bring it,
They're taking it.
they
They'll
got to
carry
take a
it.
piece of that gristle back.
They'll carry it.
One of the things people do is store information, to use now or later.
Mm-hmm.
It's human nature. But you have to determine,
I've
when you can
also,
say it.
I've also. It took me a while to learn this. To learn this about relationships, friendships, etc. Is that sometimes friendships aren't meant to be long term.
There it
Sometimes
is.
they are only
There
meant
it
to be
is.
for a
There it is.
period of time, and we
Right.
don't always know that time. That's God's information. That's God's revelation.
Absolutely.
That time will be, and it can, you can sit there and think like, what did I do, or what happened, or whatever, and you may never get that answer. But just know, I always say, Lord, show me in retrospect what I missed. Like, what didn't I see that might have been out there for me to see, and I just ignored it, and because I ignored it, you removed it from me. So sometimes you don't. It's not even like Annette was saying. It's not even about you. It's
No.
about what's going on in that other person's life. It's about what's going on in the world. It's about
That's
all
right.
kinds of things that could be centered around you, and it has nothing to do with that other person. It's just like I'm gonna tell y'all now. I'm sort of like Dosha. I'm kind of straight up front. For me, I'm going through some black cloud. I don't know what's happened in the past year and a half of my life. It has been an emotional battle, an emotional struggle. I could look right at you and not see you right now, and it is not because I'm trying to ignore you. It is not because I didn't, I see you, but I don't see you. It's one of those kind of things. And so I just ask y'all, if y'all see me somewhere and I don't acknowledge you or whatever, it has nothing to do with you. It's what's going on with me right now. And I think that we need to be honest enough with ourselves to be able to say these things and have these kind of conversations. But it's hard because sometimes you always can't. But I'm glad as women we're sitting here talking about this tonight. And I'm letting y'all know I ain't right now. But God willing, I'll get there. But it's going to take me some time to get to that. But I'm working on it every day.
That self-reflection right there is a jewel.
Yes.
That's a jewel. Most people don't get that, Jonette. Thank you for sharing that.
Or won't admit it.
Other people and won't admit it. Come on, y'all. They won't admit it. If you know who you are and what you're doing and you're living right, don't concern yourself with what other people think or say. Because nobody's in your shoes. Nobody except you. Your shoes aren't big enough to fit two people.
Yeah, and we're all fighting inner demons and things that we want to fix within ourselves. I know I do. Every day we have to tell ourselves a different story, and that story is that we're worth it, and that we're great, and that as women, we have to constantly give ourselves daily affirmations of who we really are and what we really want to accomplish, what we're about. And this is not just for African American women, but it's just for women, period. Like someone said earlier, on a constant basis, what we go through daily. I don't care if it's with kids, family, depending on where you rank in the family. If you're now the matriarch, whether you're not the matriarch, or you could be in the middle somewhere and still be the person who's taking care of everything. And I think taking care of ourselves, that self-care, that is key. That's first and foremost. I remember this minister said this one time, and I'm thinking about all of us talking about people betraying us. And I got to say sometimes, I told you I'm so straightforward. So I always laugh when I get ready to say something, because we done threw some of the dirt out there. Like when our younger selves, before we got ourselves together,
absolutely.
we got some stuff. So we got to turn around and say, I'm not saying like the young lady, Virginia, like what she went through. I get that. And like different people have gone through a lot of things. Just because I forgive people doesn't mean that they're really close to me and they get all my secrets. That's a negative. I stop that. But what I'm saying is that as women, self-caring, I think right now for us, and Jonette just saying what she said, that's real. Like that brain sometimes I'm so all over the place. And right now, I see you, I have nothing against you, but sometimes I'm just not there at that moment. And I like that, Jonette.
Thank you.
Yeah, that was powerful. Sherry, what do we have in the comments?
So John Day asked a question, but do you think you should? And I'm thinking that this means correct. It might have been the way he typed it. It could have autocorrect the person that's talking about someone you know. Because why feel comfortable to talk about them in front of you?
That's the point. That's the whole point, right?
Yeah.
If somebody, nobody could come to me and talk about any woman on this post.
And there you go.
that I feel comfortable with. I'll stop them dead in their tracks.
And they're
Mhm.
trying.
The fact that people feel comfortable enough doing it with
Yep.
you says they brought the bone and they taking bone back.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so
But
John
then
makes
you become the person, I'm sorry, you become the person that, oh, she's their flunky, or you better not say anything around them. Like, you can't say anything about that person. It is, but all
I
because you
want
you
them
have
to say that
standards,
about me. I
and you
want
say,
them to say
listen,
that
don't
about
bring
me.
it to me because
No,
I
you
don't want to
can't
hear
talk to
it.
her about it.
There
I
you
want
go.
them to say that.
Mhm.
That's all right with me. We
But
got
Mhm.
what I
plenty of
say a
in
lot of
common.
times is that's your relationship with that person. I don't have that kind of relationship. And
That's
so because I don't have that kind of relationship, we're not going to have that conversation. Until I see what you see, me and her are okay.
mm-hmm.
Because a lot of
I like
times,
that.
they'll try to get you to come in their corner. And
Yep.
I tell them in a minute, I have to take people for how they treat me. I don't, I
That's right.
can't judge how they treat somebody else. I just judge how they
Right,
treat me. And if
right.
that's how they treat you, then that's something that's between you and them. But
Mhm.
I have never had that kind of conflict with this person, so I don't know what you're talking about. That's
Mhm.
and that
There you
usually
go.
shuts it down.
There you
Mhm.
go. Sherry, what
Okay,
we got in the
we have a comment. We have a comment from Mark Broach. I don't know if it's pastor or I don't know which
It's
what
pastor.
designation.
Definitely
Okay.
pastor.
Mhm.
Okay, Pastor Broach. Ladies, your greatness is not determined by moments, but your long-term selves. You ladies are great. Praying for all of you.
Oh,
Thank you,
wow.
Pastor
Thank
Broach.
you, Pastor
Thank
Broach.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hey, hey. Jennifer Broach's significant other,
Yes.
the first lady, my friend. Yeah, so Jonette, that's powerful again.
Oh, thank you.
You know,
Been around a long time.
Yes.
I'll tell you what. See, and that's the other thing. You know, the younger generation says, "Oh, you're all old-fashioned. You don't know what you're talking about." Experience can never be substituted.
Right.
Absolutely.
Never. And so, if we're sharing experience, strength, and hope with you, it might behoove you to listen, unless you just want to make those mistakes.
Mm.
We're telling you, you don't have to. We've experienced it. We got bruised. They tried to break us, and
Mm.
here's how we came out of it. But if you don't want to listen to that, there's not, much we can do
Mhm.
except keep it moving. So, Jonette, no matter how long you've been around, you're spilling some good stuff.
Thank
You
you.
might have to
Yes.
You ladies
might
are
have
bringing
to
it out
become
of
a
me, I'll tell you.
on this last Wednesday podcast for the Sister Curve. We have things, as women that we have to talk about, and it's okay to talk about them live and share with women that emotional abuse happens. It's not always a significant other. It's people in
Mhm.
our lives who impact us, who bruise us, but they don't have to break us, and we don't have to be bitter,
Mm-hmm.
right? Sherry?
Absolutely.
Okay, so John Day says, I like that. I'm glad you stated that. And Dream says, say it, Johnette Smart. And
Jonette is kicking
Miss
it.
Virginia says, thank you, Pastor.
Yeah.
What are your
That's a
thoughts,
good word.
Sherry, in this, relative to what Jonette shared about?
I'm at a place in my life where if it costs me my peace, I can't afford it. And I've learned to enjoy my own company where I don't need to be surrounded constantly by friends that may betray me.
Mm.
That's so important. One of the reasons we rebranded from Coaching You for You and created an enterprise that includes a supper club. It's called There's a Seat at the Table for You. There's a chair at the table for you.
Mhm.
It's because we also want to get together and do some fine dining. You know, there's a piano bar in Bordentown. There's Ulabalas downtown. There's places we can meet up and just have dinner, with speakers who can share things with us right on the spot. Jonette seems like a great candidate right now
Yes.
for that speaker position for our first supper club meetup. And that club is not just open to women, and it's not just Black women. The Sister Curb is not just Black women.
Good.
It's Black, brown, white, vanilla, whatever. It's sisters. And us
Again,
sharing.
I've been called all those flavors.
I get it.
So you gotta laugh at yourself, right?
Little sun on the boat helps.
Right?
But this podcast is open to all women. And the Supper Club, which we're going to determine a specific day that we meet, is open to men too. And women will be sharing their experience, strength, and hope, and the brothers can step in and share theirs. So we want to have a moment where we're socializing and talking about the things that impact us. We also have a travel club that's going to Paris. It's independent travel. We just pick the travel agent. The travel agent sets it up. We give you a list of things you can do, and you determine how and when you do them. It's independent travel with a group.
Nice.
So Word on the Curb did not just change its name. It's different, it's exciting, it's new, and it includes you. And so, ladies, this has been a wonderful discussion. I'm going to have to ask all of you to come back in June, and we'll increase it. We can have up to 10 people. We'll increase it, and we'll pick a topic, that we talk about. Dosha, Jonette, Shauna, Sherry, you pick it. Sherry is about that real estate life. And she's making moves and making money. If you're interested, link up with her. She's got it, And Dosha, I want to thank you. I've known Dosha since she was a tiny little thing at the place that we all worked, which shall remain nameless. We don't want to get sued. That's going to be in a broken, but not broken, her story book. One of those places anyway. And we don't want to get sued, but I've known Dosha forever. Shauna is my family, and Jonette is a friend that I've always admired and respected. And the reason I've always admired her and respected her is because I'm not always in people's face. I'm an introvert with extrovert tendencies. Yeah, people have a hard time believing that, but I am.
Yeah, I'm saying.
And I pick and choose, where I am because I want my sister circle to be working.
Right.
I do. And, Jonette may not realize it, but I chose her because I like what she talks about. I like what she does. And it's not all talk, the action. She got action and that traction, baby. And I appreciate that. Shauna makes me laugh. This makes me laugh. She should do comedy. She makes me laugh. I'm going to have a live Zoom where you guys can come in, bring your wine, juice, water, or tea, bring a small meal and sit with me and a comedian. We'll be at home. Okay. We'll be at home. And we'll be doing comedy. That's the enterprise that I talk about with Word on the Curb. It's all about people, places, and things and bringing folks together. And tonight, you guys just, did a great job and dropped some jewels. So I want to ask each of you, starting with Jonette, and then working our way around to Shauna, to just, leave our audience with one last thing that you want them to know and remember about tonight.
Wow, Annette, thank you. And ladies, thank you. I've been around Dosha before, but not the other ladies. But I think tonight was an eye-opener, and I think we all learned something. And I truly look forward to having a discussion continue and being amongst your company in the future. Thank you, Annette, so much.
Thank you. Sherry.
I'm distracted. Coco just came in.
That dog rules your life. You said you were going to train that dog. That dog is training you.
I cannot sit still.
Show them what she looks like.
She on mute.
We can't hear you.
You done muted yourself.
Fussing about the dog.
She just came out from a walk, so she's filthy dirty, and she's trying to jump on me in this chair. Um, so the one thing that I would again like to add is protect your peace.
Yes.
If what
Virginia
is
said that.
if protect your peace. That's my 2 cents.
Thank you. Thanks for sharing. Dosha?
Um, I say I refuse to let anybody take up space in this mental right here. It's not happening. And a lot of people say that they don't have people that take up their space, but in their conversations daily, you notice that it's there and you can see the bitterness instead of the betterness. So I would say don't let anybody take up your space.
All right.
Okay. And I just want to say it was awesome to speak with you guys. Okay.
Yes.
Very insightful. The one takeaway that I would say would essentially be continue to grow, because as you grow, you open your mind a lot more to things that you might have been closed off to as a younger and I'm learning that. So I'm being mindful and purposeful about growing, constantly growing and taking the tidbits of wisdom that you get here and there. So Jonette, I'm living for you this evening. Okay. So, it really is a good thing. So that's my takeaway from the night. I thought it was just an awesome conversation with mature people. So loved it.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to bring on some younger people too, just so you know, because
Good.
we need to hear from our younger sisters what they're thinking.
Absolutely.
Love
about,
it. Look
right?
forward to it.
So Shadira Lee is one of our younger sisters who'll be joining us next month, and a few others, because there's so much we have to talk about and so much we need to say. And the message that we're going to send out, I promise you, is going to reach thousands of people, not just here, but in Norfolk, in Delaware, in Philly, and in New York. We boost out to the tri-state area. So we're going to reach, quite a few people. And hopefully there'll be enough men brave enough to do the second Wednesday of the month. We're the last Wednesday of the month.
Nice.
Do the second Wednesday of the month and have the same type of conversation.
Oh, that would be nice.
About, things they're talking about and experiencing. So we're not just going to talk about, emotional abuse. We're going to talk about men. Yeah, we're going to talk about that.
And we're going to talk about money and wealth.
Oh,
We're going to talk about money.
Yeah.
That's
Because
nice.
that's what we're talking about. We're going to talk about what Jonette said, building, improving our relationships. We're going to talk about what Dosha said about learning how to combat, the abuse and deal with people who are not always favorable to us. We're going to talk about a lot of that stuff. We're going to talk about everything. We're going to talk about what Shauna said. We're going to talk about these things, and we're going to share about them, because all of us have been bruised but not broken.
That's right.
Yes.
And in her story, you want to stay tuned for the documentary, her story.
Yeah.
It's going to be live. It's not a movie. It's me. And at times there'll be other people joining me to talk about some of the things I experienced. And just to give you a little preview here, we're going to talk about 3 doctors in the area who attempted to rape me. We're going to talk about the abuse that I suffered on my job, or a job.
There you go.
You don't want to get sued. A job.
Yeah, let's protect your civil rights, sister.
That's right. We're going to talk about a prominent family that started a whisper campaign. We're going to talk about friends that betrayed. We're going to talk about friends that helped. But the book is her story. And it's about being broken, not broken. It's about being bruised, not broken, and not bitter.
Mm-hmm.
So, ladies, I want to thank you for joining me here at the Sister Curve tonight. The Sister Curve is about people, places, and things, and what's happening out there in the street. And I want you to remember, I don't care where you live, you got a street.
Right.
Those are you who are a bit elitist. We don't have neighborhoods. We don't have this. We have that. And listen, I'm not perfect. I don't know about anybody else, but I'm not perfect. I'm so perfectly imperfect.
That's
Put a
me.
name
I like
in
that.
the you know,
I'm gonna steal that on that perfectly imperfect.
I'm perfectly imperfect. And you see behind me, what does it say? Solidarity wins.
Yes.
Right.
I promise you. Jeanette spoke to it. We got to be better
Mhm.
with each other and to each other. And we have to build circles that can't be broken. I want to thank you for joining me here this evening. I again want to shout out the people I love. You know, I have a grandson. He's 4 years old and he is the boss of me.
All right.
For all of you have had this experience, I know Sherry has,
Mm.
her grandkids, you know, so our legacy matters. And in building our legacy, we got to build our money.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Imagine,
right.
imagine if 20 of us got together with
Mhm.
$1,000 each and bought a piece of property, redeveloped it, and sold it. I
I'm
want to
ready.
tell you
I'm ready.
that's
Okay.
how it works. I want to say good night, and I want to thank all of you for joining me here this evening. Now, Sherry, before we go, because I don't have my glasses on, I'm trying to be cute. Can you tell me
Yeah, there she is.
who has the most comments in
You
the?
you hear who's having the most comments right now?
You can argue you.
Ah.
Who has the most comments? Because that's the person who wins the gift certificate for lunch to Ula Bottles. The Biggies.
Miss Virginia.
Miss Virginia, I need you to reach out to me, inbox me. You have won the gift certificate for this evening. On the Sister Curb, we're always going to have some type of giveaway, and you don't have to live near to receive it.
Mhm.
So thank you, Virginia Marshall, I believe it is, for participating, and thank you, Sherry, for helping me moderate. I'll see you guys next month, I hope.
All right. Thank you.
We'll be
Good night,
back.
all.
Sister Curb
Bye.
and Word on the Curb podcast. Good night.
Good night.
Good night.